Hey YouTubers, Nightwing19 here with my review for episode 15 of The Flash, Out of Time. There are so many things that happen in this episode, we have much to talk about, so I'm going to start with my recap right away. Mardon, who has the ability to control the weather, returns to Central City to avenge the death of his brother Clyde and sets his sights on Joe. Cisco begins to believe Joe was right about Wells, so he rechecks the containment field that had failed to hold the Reverse Flash. He discovers that the Reverse Flash seen in the containment field was only a hologram. Wells arrives and reveals himself to be Eobard Thawne, a man from the future who came back in time to kill Barry, but killed his mother instead, and has since been stranded in present day. Wells also explains that he's pushing Barry to get stronger so that he can use Barry's powers to return to his time, and he murders Cisco to protect his secret. Mark kidnaps Joe and forces him to watch as he sends a tsunami to the city in order to kill Iris. Barry is forced to reveal his secret identity to Iris just after she admits to romantic feelings for him in order to save the city. Barry runs back and forth across the coastline to create a barrier against the tsunami, but he runs so fast that he creates a time warp and travels back in time to when Mark first returned to Central City. So overall, I'm giving this episode a 10. It was just a crazy episode filled with so many twists and turns. Barry, by the end of the episode, accidentally goes back in time, so obviously Barry will do the right thing and stop Mardon before everything that he does in this episode causes a big mess again. Time travel is really hard to understand. Sometimes TV shows and movies have their own logic behind time travel, so I won't theorize much about time travel on the show until the show itself presents their logic behind it. So when Barry stops Mardon before he kidnaps Joe and causes the tsunami, he will prevent Cisco's death, which is like the craziest thing that happened in this episode. This episode was made the way it was just so that Barry can stop everything that happened in this episode from occurring again. The writers had an opportunity to present so many things in this episode, revealing that Harrison Wells is Eobard Thawne, killing Cisco, Barry revealing he's the Flash to Iris, and for Iris and Barry to have their first kiss. It's too bad for Barry because he will only remember that kiss and Iris won't. If this episode ended on a good note, like if Barry stopped that tsunami from ever hitting the city, then it looked like their plot would be going somewhere instead of it keep hitting different bumps on the road. As I said before, Wells revealed himself as Eobard Thawne. I assumed that Wells was like an adaptation of the Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash just because he has so much knowledge on the future, but now he's actually Eobard Thawne. Harrison Wells is just an alias for Thawne, and he even told Cisco that Eddie Thawne is a descendant of his. It could be possible that Eddie will turn out to be Malcolm Thawne in the comics, who becomes the villain Cobalt Blue. Malcolm in the comics is a distant descendant of Eobard, and Malcolm is actually Barry's secret twin brother. In the comics, Nora gives birth to twins, however another patient, the Thawne family, gives birth to their child but dies due to being strangled by the umbilical cord. The doctor gave Malcolm to the Thawnes after failing to save the baby due to being too drunk. Not sure if the show will go that far. It seems way too comic booky for the show to pull that kind of stunt, but it would be a big twist if they decided to go that route. In season 2 of Arrow, Thea was revealed to be Malcolm Merlin's daughter, so Barry and Eddie being twins could be the Flash's version of Thea being Merlin's daughter. The way I see it, it seems like Eddie is on the route of becoming Cobalt Blue. However, being that he's a cop and a close friend to Barry, it seems as though that he has been set up for becoming the Hunter Zolomon Reverse Flash. Either one of those characters would be great. It's not complicated for the show to do either of these characters based on how they've set Eddie up so far. Eobard did say that he wanted to kill Barry as a kid instead of his mother, and that he's been pushing Barry to increase his speed so that he can go back in his time. I think what Eobard will do is steal Barry's powers once he gets into that moment where he is fast enough to go back to his own time. He took a sample of Farouk's blood earlier in the season, so that will come to play soon enough. Now that Barry has time travel, I think he's fast enough for Wells to steal his powers now. However, I don't know if Wells will know if Barry traveled back in time or not. So overall, this episode really advances the plot of the season in a big way, revealing new details on characters and giving us an idea of how the rest of the season is going to go down. So now to Easter eggs. This episode featured the Weather Wizard. They already featured him in the pilot episode, however in this episode they featured the real Weather Wizard. Mark Mardon in the comics becomes the Weather Wizard after he stole his brother Clyde's work and created a wand that gave him the ability to control the weather. They actually created the wand from the comics that actually does the opposite. In the episode, the wand disconnects Mardon's ability to control the weather. Mark Mardon on the show is given the ability of controlling weather without the wand. In the 1 year later storyline, he's given that ability to use his powers without the wand. I do have to say that I like this Weather Wizard better than the Weather Wizard we met in the pilot. I expressed my thoughts that Clyde's acting was terrible and that he was just a terrible villain. Mardon, however, is really great because he comes around when the writers needed craziness for the show, and then they have it all erased. A brother bent on revenge to avenge his brother's death. Everything about Mark is great, his morals, his powers, and his musical cue. The musical cue for Mardon reflects on how this episode wanted to be really epic. Kaylin mentioned to Cisco that she'll watch The Walking Dead with him. I found it funny that they referenced that show. I do want to watch that show and start making videos for it, however I'm still debating about it. Maybe in my free time I'll binge watch it on Netflix or something. So, now into my top 5 moments, starting with number 5, meet Mark Mardon. This scene really gives you insight on Mark. Every brother loves their brother, but Mark has been watching his brother ever since their parents died, so for him to lose him messes him up big time and turns him into this hell-bent character to avenge his brother's death. Number 4, Barry and Iris kiss. Number 3, Barry time travels for the first time. Number 2, Harrison Wells reveals himself to be Eobard Thawne. This really shows that the writer of the show are staying true to the Flash mythology. Staying too close to the comics can be dangerous at times, like if they decided to make Eddie Barry's secret twin, that may or may not spoil the show. I feel like the show can manage a big twist like that, since so far the show has been doing excellent. And my number 1 moment, Eobard Thawne kills Cisco. So, here's my question for you guys. What did you think of this episode, and what do you think is going to happen for the rest of the season? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, and subscribe for more reviews on The Flash. Subscribe to my other channel, Jedi Knight for 50, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr for updates on The Flash, Arrow, and more. Thanks for watching, bye.